Derby County are crying out for another defensive-minded midfielder, in my opinion, and one that has some technical ability to go with it. The player I've identified is Marco Kana, currently playing for Anderlecht in the Belgian league. Is he a player who Derby County could potentially sign? Now, his market value has dipped over the course of recent years, and he has been on a couple of loan spells. The 22-year-old midfielder will be looking to progress his career by any means necessary, but will that be in the colours of Anderlecht or Derby County? But before we do get into looking at Marco Kana, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and turn on that notification bell to stay tuned for all of my latest Derby County content coming your way. Now, as mentioned, Marco Kana is a 22-year-old midfielder from Anderlecht who can play a whole host of different positions. A player who, in my opinion, would take Derby County to another level in that midfield area. We've seen the impact that David Ozo had in just a short spell in the first team, and it's important that Derby County are able to replace him heading into next season and even into the January window. With him being such an injury doubt at the moment and not quite ready to return to the action, Derby County are going to be looking for players to replace him, and I think Marco Kana could be that man. Now, if we take a look at his career so far, he's played 58 games for Anderlecht, scoring once and assisting one goal, but let's take into account that is not his game. He's also played for KV Kortrijk as well as RCA Futures, which is the Anderlecht Academy, and he could be a wonderful player for Derby County. He's a player who was brought to my attention by someone in the comments section. I'm sorry, I can't quite remember what your username is, but I really appreciate you bringing this guy to my attention. He's got some unbelievable experience for the age. He's played in the European Conference League qualifiers. He's played in the Conference League. He's played in the Pro League as well as a range of different cup competitions, which will obviously have boosted his experience and what he is able to do going ahead in the future. Now, if we look at his career as a whole, he's made 85 total appearances, including some youth games as well. 4,825 minutes with 1 goal, 1 assist, 12 yellow cards and a red. He's a player who, in my opinion, would massively improve the Derby County midfield and take us to another level. Maybe a player in the similar ilk of David Ozo that would like to get on the ball and make things happen, but a player who we really need, because we can't just keep letting Ebou Adams do all the work. At some point, he's not going to be available, and we're going to have to move to a different option. And ultimately, right now, I don't think Derby County have that. And I think we saw that in the Leeds United game. Now, if we look at where he can play at centre-back, holding midfield, or in the central midfield area, which, in my opinion, really reminds me of the David Ozos, the Ebou Adams that we currently have. Ozo is a player who has played at centre-back, has played in defensive midfield as well as central midfield, and Ebou Adams can really rotate through that midfield section. We've seen him this season playing the number 10. Now, Marco Kana is a player who, in my opinion, can do all of the above, and I think it also gives Derby County an extra option in those defensive areas, which opens up the door to move on a player like Sonny Bradley. Now, I'm not saying Sonny Bradley isn't good enough to stay at the club or isn't good enough to play in the Championship, but I just think that at his age, we're looking to move to bigger things at Derby County, and this is what we're looking to do with a signing like Marco Kana. If this is one which we can get done, one which we're even interested in, I don't entirely know, but is one of those players who I think could have a massive improvement to the Derby County side. And you look at where he'd fit into the team. You look at, obviously, the centre-back area. You look at Nelson and Bradley coming towards the back end of their careers. We obviously know with Curtis Davis, went on to play till he was 40. Is Curtis Nelson going to be able to do that at Championship standard level? We don't quite know. There's obviously Rooney and Robinson coming through the ranks. Phillips will obviously be heading back to Liverpool at the end of his loan, maybe even in January. So it's one of those for me where there's an option he could slot in at centre-back. You then look at the midfield area where we've only got Adams as a long-term prospect in that position. There's obviously Ozo, who's here right now on loan, but ultimately hasn't been available since I think it was the Cardiff game where he went down injured off the ball. So he's a player who's not really been about. So at the minute, we're working with a 3-man midfield with only 4 available midfielders, which is obviously really difficult for Derby County. And we've sort of brought Harness into that number 10 role rather than the wide role, which he really prefers to play. And I think it's been really interesting to see Derby County develop, but adding Kana into either of those midfield roles will be an absolute brilliant addition for Derby County. I think it would open up the door for someone like Ebou Adams to do his job properly and not have to worry necessarily about being a little bit higher up the pitch in build-up and things like that. And that's something which I cannot wait to see. Now let's look at the possibilities. His contract expires in 2026, so in my opinion there could be a potential loan deal possible until the end of the season. He's currently valued by Transfer Market at around €1 million, which for me I don't think is a massive fee. You look at the fees we've paid for the likes of Kenza Houdmine, we've paid for Jakub Vidal Zetterstrom and Ibu Adams, and some really good fees there. And if Derby County do have any money left in the pocket, obviously we spoke yesterday about Jadon Montour, and I think Marco Kana could do a similar job to Montour, not in a sense of as a winger going one-on-one and making things happen, but in taking us to the next level in the midfield and being able to bring out the potential with him. Now, at the moment, there doesn't seem to be any interest in Kana from anybody at the moment, and he may even personally just want to stay at Anderlecht and move himself forward at the Anderlecht club. But the big question for me is, would he want to come and join England? Would he want to come and sign for Derby County? I think we've got the facilities, and I think we've got the potential to move forward to potentially a Premier League club in the next 4 to 5 years, and that would put Kana at his prime age by the time we hit that stage. And for me, I think it would be an impressive deal for Marco Kana to come and join Derby County for a reasonable fee, obviously, and obviously it might not happen. This is all just me putting together a wish list based on a player who has been mentioned to me, and I think he could be an excellent one. Now, Marco Kana is a player who I think could add a lot to Derby County and be a wonderful addition to Derby County's midfield. But is he a player who Derby County are really going to chase? I do think he is someone that Paul Warne would like. The big question would be mainly around the fee. Obviously, playing at Anderlecht, I think he might command a decent fee. But at 22 years old and sort of a bit and bob player at the moment, I personally think that he would be better suited to the English League with Derby County, and obviously that would mean we'd be bringing in a lot of sort of overseas players. But for me, the foreign market is a lot cheaper than the English market, and it's easier to bring in those players. We've also got our own homegrown players coming through, the likes of Cruz Allen, the likes of Niall McAndrew, the likes of Harry Hawkins and Jake Rooney. And obviously Jake Rooney did come to us from Burnley, but we've got these players coming through willing to make that step up to the first team and can play those midfield roles. So do we really need to go out and get Marco Kana? Now, in my opinion, it depends what Derby County are looking to do in the short term. I think Kana can offer us something today, tomorrow, if we were to bring him in. But do I think that Jake Rooney could offer a similar thing, maybe in that midfield role? It's going to be really interesting to see how Derby County do handle the January transfer window. And obviously, we're edging ever closer to it now. It's the 16th of December. We're pushing ever closer to January. Who is going to take that role for Derby County? Who is going to come in and be that next Ibu Adams? You obviously saw the impact he had last season. Can Kana, can Montour be that type of player coming in at the end of the January window? You'll have to let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you have not done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for all of my latest Derby County content that is heading your way on the channel. Obviously, we've got a lot of player profiles that are going to be heading your way over the course of the next few weeks, as well as match previews and match day reviews and vlogs. We will be getting live streams back on the channel. I just want to make this clear. I'm just waiting to have Virgin installed. It was supposed to be done next week, but they've rescheduled it till January for some reason. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But I'll keep you all updated throughout the videos. So make sure you do stay tuned.